when you flip back and you talk about the guys that came there, I was the first one. And I'll tell you how stupid I am. My whole career has been in broadcasting. John Lynch, the owner, the former Pittsburgh Steeler player, his son is now the general manager of the 49ers.
Mm-hmm.
John Lynch Sr. brought me over his house over in Torrey Pines and said, Lee, we're gonna take this station a little bit different direction. I think we're gonna go all sports. What do you think? And I was, well, I don't know. I'd been brought up in a news talk background. I said, I don't know if sports 24 hours a day works. He said, well, we're going to do it. Well, John was an entrepreneur and a creative guy. He needed people to execute it and pull it off. He would say, do it, and then we'd do it. Sometimes the projects worked, sometimes they didn't. But I told John, I said, that's kind of narrowcast. You think you can talk sports 24 hours? Not thinking very much about 50,000 watt blowtorch signal that covered everything, and failing to realize it wasn't just going to be about the Chargers and Padres. It was going to be about the Dodgers and the Angels. And it was going to be about the Rams. And it was going to be about the Raiders. And then I was a hockey guy. So then we also included the Kings and the Ducks along the way. And suddenly you had all these topics on the table you could talk about every day. And when they started to put the talk show roster together, it was weird. They brought in these guys from LA. Bud Ferrillo, old-time newspaper guy, and had done talk radio, sports talk radio to a degree in Los Angeles. And he brought his young sidekick, Steve Hartman, in. And they really wanted to hire Ferrillo because he had a name, put him on the big signal. And it didn't pan out. Bud didn't sound right. But they kind of got excited about Hartman. So they had decided to hire Steve. Well, now they're trying to figure out who they're going to have co-host with Steve. And this is before they launched the whole thing. They laid this groundwork out. And John Lynch knew Chet Forte. For those who are young, Chet Forte was the creative genius of Monday Night Football in the Howard Cosell, Dandy Don, Meredith, Frank Gifford era. He was the guy behind the scenes in the truck that did all the creative stuff. And Chet was a brilliant TV guy. I mean, he produced TV newscasts. He produced great events, the coronation of the Queen in England, the Olympics. He had done so many things. He had run into some really bad times in his life, gambling addiction and all that. That wrecked his TV career. But John knew him. So John called him one day and said, what do you think about coming out here and doing sports talk on radio? We'll just kind of get started. And John came to me and I said, you know what? And I knew Chet because I had interviewed Chet when he was still doing Monday Night Football. And I said, John, this might really be a brilliant stroke. He said, why? I said, well, you got a young LA guy, loudmouth, and Steve Hartman. You got an older loudmouth guy in Chet Forte.
Yeah.
You got East Coast versus West Coast. I could see them arguing back and forth, and it was magic right from the start. And Chet was with us for 1 year. Sadly, he died of a heart attack. And John had to go back into the marketplace and find somebody else. And he came to me and I said, I got a guy that I use as kind of an NFL insider. He's in Philadelphia, Philly Billy Werndell. I said, he could be an adequate replacement to Chet. Why? East Coast, West Coast, old guy, young guy, both loud. They brought Philly Billy in. And bingo, that worked for a whole bunch of years. And then they stumbled upon Rome, and Jim was working nights after me. He had just come out of college and was just trying to find his way. He had a real different approach, and that was cool. And they brought him in to do nights, and then they flipped him to do mid-mornings. And they came up with the idea, let's try to syndicate him. I was the guy that was supposed to be syndicated. They had met with me and talked to me about taking my show national. And this is before ESPN or anybody.
Yeah.
And we kind of got to the finish line of the conversation. I just raised the question. I said, if you're going to syndicate me nationally, is it going to hurt the ratings? Because we were killing it with the ratings in the afternoon drive. And I said, I need you to think about this. You want me to do a national show and you're going to put me on in Detroit and you can put me on in Green Bay. I said, does it help us a great deal in afternoon drive if I'm getting calls about the Detroit Red Wings or I'm getting calls about the Milwaukee Brewers? I said, does it work? And they kind of stepped back and said, yeah, maybe we don't want to tamper with what we've built. Next thing you know, Rome is the guy, and they put Rome on in the morning, 9 to noon, and kind of got that thing started. It took forever and ever. So they stumbled across some people. And as you talked about, John, unbelievable chemistry. We didn't necessarily all like each other. We didn't get along all the time, but everybody had a different sound and a different opinion. And like Romy would say, have a take, don't suck. And it was, I mean, it was cool. We struggled forever to find a morning show, and then we finally found one in Mason in Ireland, and then that was followed by the arrival of Scott Kaplan and Billy Ray Smith, the uh, loudmouth linebacker and the wide right field goal kicker, and that worked really well too. And then we stumbled upon, we wanted something different. We stumbled upon John Quintera, the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And John's had a really nice career. He's kind of been victimized by corporate management too. But John had this angle of an insider in high school, knew everybody in the community. He brought something into the shows that none of us had time to do or wanted to do. So he had his own little entourage of followers too. I mean, it was a tremendous run for 690, and then unfortunately this station got sold. John sold it, went to J-Core. J-Core got gobbled up by Clear Channel. Clear Channel ruined it. And then the rest is history. A bunch of us wound up out in the street. But we, a whole bunch of us wound up resurfacing pretty quickly. So it was fun how we got to where we got. And it wasn't by any massive blueprint, because they knew who I was, and then they found people, and suddenly they had gold. I mean, it was amazing. At the end of the day, I tell people in the broadcast industry, 690, Mexican station where Wolfman Jack used to be the star, 690 became an $11 million radio station in billing. $11 million because of the signal. We were getting money out of Orange County's advertising market, getting money out of LA, getting national money. And the other stations, they tried to put stations on the air against us, and they go off the air in 9 months because we had such a stranglehold. And till the day I die, somebody needs to explain to me why Clear Channel Radio, iHeartMedia would ever fold 690, an $11 million radio station. They ruined it and they wrecked it. And then John Lynch resurfaced, and he started 1090, and that had a nice little run. And it was a successful station for a chunk of time, but landscape changed, rights fees changed, advertising industry died. It just kind of went away, unfortunately, in 2014.